Hi, everybody. This is Bob Gale, co-creator of Back to the Future, and you're listening to Brad Gilmore.
Doc! Okay, relax, Doc. It's me. It's Marty.
No, it can't be. Just sent you back to the future.
Yeah. Oh, I know you did send me back to the future, but I'm back. I'm back from the future.
Great Scott.
Wait a minute, Doc. Are you telling me that you built a time machine? Out of a DeLorean?
The way I see it, if you're gonna build a time machine into a car, why not do it with some style?
Whoa, this is heavy.
And we're so excited to have them joining us on the show today. We're talking about the brand new show, Obliterated. It's going to be debuting tomorrow on Netflix, and the creators of the show are here with me, Josh, John, and Hayden. Guys, how y'all doing?
We're great. Excellent. Thank you.
Well, hey, look, congratulations on yet another show. I know the people are really going to love this one. Just from looking at some of the materials and what there's been online and the synopsis, sounds like a show that's right up my alley. But Josh, why don't you give people kind of the elevator pitch, if you will? What's the premise of the show, Obliterated?
Premise of the pitch is basically you're launched right into the third act of what would be the action movie about a bomb that's going to annihilate Las Vegas. And we meet the special forces team that's gone undercover at day clubs, nightclubs in Vegas to find, the arms traffickers who are going to sell this thing to the highest bidder. They crash through windows. They kill every bad guy. They, bring in their bomb deactivator. And with seconds left, he actually clips the wires and saves Vegas from obliteration. So because this is a clandestine operation and no one can know what this was, they throw themselves the ultimate party in Vegas, with, camels and drugs and booze and sex and people telling each other off. It's the office Christmas party, on steroids and LSD. And at the height of the debauchery, the phones ring and they learn that the bomb they deactivated was a decoy. The real one is going to go off in 7 hours if they don't release the bad guy. So they basically have the next 7 hours and the next 7 episodes to find this bomb, deactivate it, or Vegas will be obliterated. Unfortunately, now they're obliterated, and all of their dysfunction, is going to kind of, chase them around the whole night.
Oh man, just sounds like a show that's right up my alley. Hayden, like when y'all are, well, I guess the better question is, and excuse me if this is mundane, but how does like a concept like this come up? Was this inspired by another story that y'all liked, or is this something y'all were just spitballing to each other?
When you finish making a movie, we tend to film on location. So, you're with a crew and it's almost like a camp for like a couple months. And at the end of the shoot, usually you throw a big wrap party and a lot of the crew and cast are not going to see each other again because, you're only together for that one movie. And so that party, a lot of things happen. And we've learned, from our experiences from that like, people will tell each other off, or all of a sudden you'll learn that people have been hooking up, and all these things that have been percolating the entire shoot suddenly like all come to fruition at this wild party, and you see people drunk in ways that you haven't seen before. And we just thought like, oh, wouldn't it be funny if like, oh my God, wait, there was a problem with the film stock, and we need to do reshoots, and we actually all have to be together again just when you thought you'd never see these people again. So it was taking that kind of concept and putting it in an action setting. We love old school action. Working on Cobra Kai, we love movies of the 80s and 90s, and we feel like, we wanted to bring back that old school action vibe. So it's that genre with that concept.
And John, when you get this concept and you think, okay, maybe we got something here, what's the immediate next step for people who might not know? Do y'all go straight to Netflix and say, we got an idea? Do y'all go in a room and write a few episodes and then pitch it? Like, what's the next step there?
No, I mean, we put together a pitch, it was, about a 20 to 30 minute pitch. And we did a sizzle reel where we did like a fake trailer for what this thing could be. And then we went around town and we pitched it to all the different platforms. And, the goal was, this was always something that we thought would be perfect on Netflix at the end of the day, because it's uncensored, it's unrated, it's, a throwback to the kinds of movies that the guys and I made before we did Cobra Kai. We did the Harold and Kumar movies, an American Pie movie, Hot Tub Time Machine, the movie Blockers, those big R-rated comedies that people loved in the movie theaters. We love the idea of, bringing that kind of energy kind of back
in a big way and bringing it in a streaming series like you've never seen it before.
Now, Josh, one of my favorite movies of all time or actually it is my favorite movie of all time, is Back to the Future. When you look at how they write the film, they use this, Bob Gale describes this note card method where they would kind of plot everything out on note cards before putting it onto the page. When y'all are getting into a room to write something, what is, or create something or plot out the story, what is the method do you use? Do you use a tried and true note card method, or do you have something else that kind of works for y'all's triumphant?
Well, I could say, first of all, Back to the Future is probably our collective favorite movie other than The Karate Kid. So we share that in common. Yeah, John and I are sitting under a commissioned painting of Doc Brown from Back to the Future 2 right now. But we actually do go old school. During COVID, briefly, we had to move to a virtual writer's room and, kind of have note cards that were on computer screens, which does work, but we're very tactile, very analog guys, and there's just a tremendous benefit to putting things on the cards. If you saw the writer's room we're in right now for the final season of Cobra Kai, the giant wall space is just covered in probably hundreds, if not 1,000 note cards, because we get really specific, by the season, we get really specific by the character, we get really specific by the episode, by the act, by the moment, and it's enormously helpful to have something in your hand that you can move around, and it's a nice puzzle to put together.
Josh, John, and Hayden are joining us right now. We're talking about Obliterated. It's going to be on Netflix starting tomorrow. That's November 30th, depending on when you're hearing this. Now, Hayden, you mentioned Cobra Kai, which everybody loves. I can't wait to see the next season of it, obviously. But when I watch it, not only am I a big Back to the Future fan, I'm a hellacious pro wrestling fan. And I see a lot of pro wrestling in the storytelling. And I say it in this way. There's babyface, the guy who's good, and then he turns, and then he comes back. And there's all these kind of twists and turns. Did pro wrestling, especially 80s pro wrestling, have any inspiration on how y'all tell these Cobra Kai stories? Or is that just me wishing?
It's funny, it wasn't a conscious effort to do that, but we grew up in the height of that era, WWF days and beyond. And I think that, when we write for Cobra Kai, we write for the kid in us. And I think that we remember those types of twists and turns. And we always joke that this genre, when we took Karate Kid and turned it into a series, we kind of made it a soap opera, its own karate drama that we did. And in a lot of ways, wrestling has its own soap opera story that you're following. And so I think that there's just an overlap when you're following characters that are quote unquote bad or the heel, that you want to see, they can't just be the same all the time. You love them because they're bad, but you like to see twists and turns, and I think that there is an overlap, so you're not crazy.
Okay, now speaking of Cobra Kai, John, there was the video that came out, I'm sure people have already asked you about this last week, with Macho and Jackie Chan talking about a new Karate Kid movie. I don't know if you can say any of this or if y'all have any connection, I'm not exactly sure, but is that going to be an offshoot of Cobra Kai? Is there going to be involvement from you all, or is this something completely separate?
It's something that's completely separate. We are in the loop. Ralph's our guy. So we're big supporters of him and always rooting for him. So, as scripts have come in on that movie, we've taken a look at those things, given our thoughts here and there. We've talked to the director a little bit, and he's a great guy. He's a big Karate Kid fan and Cobra Kai fan. But when it comes down to the creative on that, we really have no connection to it. It's really outside of the Cobra Kai story. Daniel Russo's there. I'm not going to spoil, the ways that he's involved, but it really has no bearing on what's going on in the Cobra Kai series.
Now, Obliterated, it will debut tomorrow on Netflix. We're all excited to see it. Now, Josh, just to go back to one more thing about Back to the Future. I know that y'all are big Back to the Future guys. I remember y'all were throwing out an idea of even doing a Back to the Future style series. I asked Bob Gale about it myself, if that was something he would give his blessing to, but he's very protective of the franchise. Was that a real idea that y'all have, or sketched out in your office somewhere of an idea of a Back to the Future series?
I'll say unequivocally yes. We have what we think is just a fan favorite idea that we've never seen circulated out there, that we, based on our instincts and our love of that franchise and the fandom, think would really sing. We know that Bob and other Bob Zemeckis have said for years they have no interest in retouching this. I'm actually friendly with Michael Clasteren, who worked on the original and wrote some books about it as well, who said the same thing. No pressure from us, but if that door ever opened, even a crack, or people were curious, they know where to find us.
Well, I'm definitely curious, and Michael's a great guy. Well, guys, I really appreciate y'all joining us on the show today. Again, Obliterated is tomorrow. Josh, Hayden, and John, really appreciate your time, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Hey, you too, Brett.